James Daly.
Baljit, you quoted one figure, which was 69% increase. Was that in rape cases referred to the Crown Prosecution Service?
Yes, adult rape cases that were referred to the CPS.
And that's viewed as a success?
I think that's, I would say, I think what I said was we're not complacent about where we are, but we are pleased that the work that we are doing is leading to an improvement.
Well, if you put it in context, it's not a success in the slightest, because charging rates have performed particularly sharply for RASO cases. Between 2014-15 and 2021-22, the charge rate for sexual offences, including rape, fell from 11.3% to 2.9%. Do you recognise those figures?
I think you're talking about from report, and obviously we can...
I'm talking about the charge rate. Let's be very specific about this. We're talking about the relationship between the police and the Crown Prosecution Service. The figures that nobody ever talks about is the charge rate. So forget the conviction rate, it's the charge rate. Now, can you tell me what the charge rate is, the most up-to-date charge rate you have for rape offences in this country?
The Solicitor General, I think, appeared in front of this committee recently and said it was 72%. The charge of cases referred to the CPS.
Now you see, but then that's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking you, what is the complete charge rate for the total number of rape allegations made to the police?
With respect to all we can do, we're a demand-led organisation. We can only deal with the cases that are referred to us by the police.
Okay, so if I suggest this to you, Mr. McGill, you do know this is the case. The vast majority of rape cases are not referred to the police. That's correct, isn't it?
Well,
you do know, Mr. McGill, that is the case, isn't it?
I don't know the specifics are. I do know that there are a number of cases referred to the police that don't come anywhere near the CPS.
So, Mr. McGill, you're giving evidence to this committee that you don't know that the vast majority of rape cases in this country are not referred to the CPS at all. You don't know that fact. You're telling me you don't know.
No, I'm saying I know that there are a vast amount of cases that are referred, but only a proportion of those are referred to the CPS. That's the evidence I'm giving to the committee today.
The point I'm making here is that the number of cases, the charge-out rate relates to the total number of cases reported by victims throughout this country, and that is into the thousands, around 70,000, I think. So when we're talking about the numbers and when you're talking about an increase, we're talking a phenomenally small number. The charge-out rate for rape in this country is approximately between 2 and 2.9%. So that means that the vast majority of people who go and have the courage to make an allegation of rape to the police do not get anywhere near justice. There is no success in respect of this. It is a national scandal. And my point is that the relationship between the Crown Prosecution Service and the police has to play some part in that. Because if it doesn't, it's the police's fault. Because the police, if the Crown Prosecution Service are doing everything that's required of it, well, I can't think of a reason why the police would not refer these cases to you. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think what we've seen is an improvement in the number of cases that are being referred. I take your point that the scale of the number of reports versus how many come into the system is still a very depressing figure. I know that the academics who are leading the work on Operation Soteria are looking at this issue, because I think, and again, I don't understand the breakdown of the things that don't come to us, and that is something obviously for policing, but I do understand that some of those reports are to third parties and they're not a report to drive an investigation. So I think there does need to be some disaggregation of that total number of reports. But absolutely, we want to see an increase of more referrals coming through to the CPS.
Why do you
to
feel
deal
the
with
police
this case.
are not referring more cases to you of rape allegations? The vast majority. What's the reason? You've worked in the sector for a long time. I have. What's the reason?
I think that it's a difficult one for us to answer, because actually we have put so much energy into this and said, come to us early, come to us for early advice. We want to build strong cases. And we are seeing that happening. Now, again, there is variation, but it's really hard for me to answer the reasons why even more cases aren't coming through to the CPS.
Well, I think that the only thing that we can take from this is that the treatment of female victims, and some male victims, but mainly female victims, is misogyny at its highest. There is no other explanation. There's no other logical or intellectual explanation as to why approximately 90% of cases don't get referred to the Crown Prosecution Service. And I think we do a disservice to this whole debate by talking about an increase in referrals of 69%, which is such a small number. It's a minuscule number compared to the problem. And Miss Harris is absolutely right. If you are a person who has a drug addiction, has mental health problems, comes from a deprived background, you've got no chance of getting justice in this country. None. And people come in front of this. I've been on this committee, in the Justice Committee, for a long time, and the same old excuses come time and time again. We're going to form this committee, or we're doing this, or we've got these little improvements. There are no improvements. The system is letting people down. Until that charge rate, at the minimum, gets back to what was happening in 2015 for sexual offences, it is a national disgrace. And nobody will hold up and accept responsibility for that. Because in 2015, there were still the same things about austerity and all the other things, but something has happened where the system is letting victims down, and everything we've heard today just confirms to me that will continue to happen. It is utterly, utterly scandalous. And is there anything you can say to disagree with that?
Well, I don't disagree with much of what you've said there. I don't agree that people with vulnerabilities don't get taken seriously by the system. I don't accept that. I don't think even in 2015 the figures in terms of all those cases that get reported were being referred into the system. We are confident on our current statistics that our volumes are likely to be back to 2016 levels by next year. But that is still a drop in the ocean. I do accept that the large number of cases that get reported and the fraction that then get referred to us, more needs to be done to understand that, and we would like to see more cases come into the system.
Well, just one very final question. In terms of getting back to the lack of police referrals, you're a very senior person, Mr McGill can answer this as well, you're a very senior person within the Crown Prosecution Service. Have you asked the police directly, any police officer, directly, why are you not referring more rape cases to the Crown Prosecution Service?
Well, I suppose the whole programme of work that I discussed earlier is about...
Have you asked them directly, yourself?
We've absolutely asked about why are the referrals lower, and we look at geographical data as well.
What was the answer to the question when you asked that?
It's not a question that we've asked one-off. This is an ongoing discussion with policing around performance. And actually, one of the things that we've done in terms of looking at this is saying that there should be joint operational improvement meetings focused on rape cases at local level. That is happening. So it is for the local leadership to discuss what's happening in different forces, because even a national lead can't say what's happening up and down the country. So I think it's a sort of oversimplification.
Okay, can I just ask you one question? We understand that there are still police forces